Hey everybody, Ryan Dorn here from 360 Ad Sales Training and Revenue Strategy. And today what I'd like to talk you through is 4 areas of unique focus that I believe publishing companies should consider when you're building your strategic plan for this next coming year. Now, all too often I hear about strategic planning, but where the focus is on the standard SWOT model, which is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You know what, that's perfectly fine, but for me, it's just a little bit too generic for what we do in the publishing business, especially when we're looking to have a more digital-centric revenue plan. So I'd like to, instead of doing a SWOT, I'd like to give you my 4 areas of focus, or what I might call my 4 food groups for success. The first is going to be content, and we'll talk through that in a second. The second is going to be sales, so a bucket or a food group for sales. The third area of focus is going to be marketing. And then the fourth area of focus that very often is overlooked, and that is retention. Not only advertiser retention, but also reader retention. All right, so let's look at that first area of focus called content. So what should we see in the middle of the content play? Well, one of the things to remember is very often people continue to confuse marketing planning with content planning. Now, there are some similarities, but it's important for us to understand the position of the content play. Now, while there are some marketing aspects, meaning this, what I want to do is I want to go to the internet, and I might want to use a tool like the Google AdWords tool to discover what are my readers actually searching for online. It's called search volume. If you can actually match what your readers are actually looking for online, then it allows you to create an editorial calendar that's a lot more finely tuned. Now, for years and years, we followed our gut, right? And that's absolutely okay to follow your gut, but now you can back it up with digital statistics to make sure that you are pinpoint accurate. Now, what else might you consider? You might also consider, from a content play, doing surveys of your readers and your audience in general before you create your editorial calendar. The reason for this is based upon a very simple model from a very big publisher that actually surveys their readers once every single day to make sure that what they're doing is putting out the perfect content. And I want to encourage you to understand this. Surveys are easy to do. They don't need to be 50 questions. But as you're beginning to fill that food group, that content food group, we're looking for that perfect point, that perfect intersection where we actually give the readers what they're looking for and we match up our expertise as well. So rather than just following your gut when building that food group, look towards your digital analytics, whether it's Google Analytics, Google AdWords, whatever it is, your own surveys, a Redex or MRI study. Make sure you do some research to match up with your gut and you'll have a winning success. All right, next food group then is sales, the sales food group. Now, for me, sales is obviously the bread and butter of our business and core to my business. But very often what's left off of the table is a detailed competitive analysis. Now what that means is you know you have competitors, but you actually don't know your competitors in detail. One of the first things I always do in working with a customer is I always will get a copy of the competitors' media kits and rate cards. There's a lot of ways to do that. The second piece of the sales puzzle is for me to actually look at my sales team and begin to analyze their processes. How is it that they're acquiring customers? How is it that they're prospecting customers? How is it they're hosting sales meetings? All of this is a part of my sales strategic plan. In addition to that, if we're going to be selling contests, which is a marketing play, as well as it should be married up to content as well, there may be some lines that we want to draw between those 2 buckets of focus or 2 areas of focus. All right, next is marketing. And marketing is all about acquisition. It's about acquiring new readers. It's also about acquiring new advertisers. See, acquisition is something that's vividly and vitally important to all successful media organizations. Now, whether you're buying some traffic through Google AdWords, maybe you're placing ads on LinkedIn or on Facebook, or maybe you're exploring Pinterest. Again, what I always want to encourage you to do is survey your readers and your potential readers, as well as survey your advertisers. To that end, I want to encourage you to consider putting together an advertiser advisory board. Just 10 advertisers that you buy lunch, say, once a quarter, and you pick their brains. What do they want from you? What advertising tools do they want? What do they want you to sell them? I refer to that as selling backwards. Now, one of the most effective things that some of my publishers do is they put together a reader advisory board. Now, you might want to do two different groups. Maybe one that's a group of maybe millennials, those that were born after the year of 1982, sometime between 82 and 86. And then because you want to survey some of the younger audience that you might be serving, as well as just a generic reader advisory group. You know, one of the things that I've found is that if you actually listen, if you sit back and listen to your advisory panels, you will find out some very interesting information that will help you grow your acquisition model or your marketing model. All right, now the last food group, which is retention. So why is retention so important? Because it's always easier to keep a reader. It's always cheaper to keep a reader than to find a new one, right? It's also always easier to keep an advertiser than to find a new advertiser. What's interesting to me very often is that retention is nowhere on the strategic SWOT when we actually go and work through these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, you've got your 4 food groups or your 4 buckets or your 4 areas of focus. Now you can go and work your SWOT inside each one of those circles. So how often should you do strategic planning? Well, for me and my customers, we actually walk through the strategic planning model in the late fall each and every year. But before we can do that, we're surveying our readers and we're surveying our advertisers and we're gathering good data so when we get together, we're not just following our gut. I'm Ryan Dorn from 360 Ad Sales Training and Strategy, and on behalf of the fine folks at Sheridan, thank you so much for watching this video. More helpful videos straight ahead.